right, cool. We're going to start now.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Can you first tell us a little bit who you are and how long you've been in the rap industry?
My name is Kass. I'm from the West Coast. I'm from LA. My first album came out on Priority Records. It's called Solo on Ice, and that was in 1996.
Great. And how long have you been in the music industry?
That will be 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah, more than half my life.
Yeah. And I remember in our last conversation, you were talking about how your mother inspired you to do more artistic, go through more artistic endeavors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
you were also a poetry writer.
No, I was a visual artist.
Visual
I
artist.
could
Got
draw.
you. Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. And
Never
what-
good at poetry.
got it. Although rapping is kind of poetry.
Yeah,
Maybe.
very ironically, it is, but my brain perceives it something totally different. But yeah, I guess theoretically. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the music that you've produced, that you've rapped on. What are they mainly about?
They vary. I'm more about Descartes, the duality of man. So I'm usually dealing with, your higher self, your lower self. So yeah, I juxtapose the two. I tend to talk about everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, ironically, of the human experience. So I don't pick any one particular part. I'm just as inclined to, talk about, going out drinking, smoking with my homeboys, as I am to talk about, the homeless person and what they're going through. So I'm equal opportunity world reporter.
Nice.
Actually but a lot of it is psychoanalytical for me.
So personal experiences?
Yeah,
Yeah.
how I perceive the world and myself.
Right.
Yeah.
And you talk about the duality of human nature.
Hmm.
Let's talk a little bit about maybe your duality of your human nature. One of the things we do on the love story is we look at people's love loss experiences and how that transforms into one's own creative expression.
Okay.
And so I like how you mentioned the duality of things.
Mm.
Can you tell me a little bit more about your own duality?
Specified.
Yeah, the good,
what?
bad, the ugly. Like,
I mean, let's see. It's. I'd have to pick. You'd have to ask me something very specific. You mean personal life? You mean business? You mean need like a quick synopsis of who I am as a person?
personal life.
I'm from LA, born and raised. My mother's a Southern woman. She's from Louisiana. My father's from Arkansas. So that probably he's LAPD, well retired. And I'm a kid that my mother's side wanted me to grow up and watch, so I ended up being kind of smart, but kind of bad kid. Most kids rebel against their fathers, most boys, so it's rebellious. He was the police officer. I've been to prison more than once. Went to juvenile hall, jail, did it all before the rap shit stuff. You can beep it, whatever. But I was always a smart kid. Went to Catholic school in Watts, because that's my culture on my mother's side. We're Louisiana Creoles on my mother's side, which Catholics. Started learning about history, questioning the things society teaches us probably when I was in the 7th grade. And that led me into, reading about and later on taking classes about, cultural history, cultural anthropology, physical anthropology, history, prehistory, linguistics, and it started shaping my opinions. Still didn't stop me from wanting to be in the club with my homeboys, drinking and trying to, bang a hot chick. So I've always had that duality that, even culturally with my parents, that, they're good, citizens. My dad's a decorated Marine and a decorated LAPD officer, and his son wanted to hang out with his friends and drink 40 ounces and end up at juvenile hall. So, and at some point, I think that's just the human experience. We all, you rebel. Some things I think I enlightened my father as to some of the opinions he had. And I think I learned from him that some of it wasn't the best ideas, but that's part of my duality, you know.
Thank you. Hold on. I'm going to just move
Notice
this.
you have the thing clocking down.
Yeah.
That means you're getting low. So watch that right there.
Okay, got you. You mentioned something about being interested in cultural anthropology. So that's a almost like a analytical assessment of human society, right?
Cultural anthropology kind of is, well, I can give this example. Basically, you have, say you had a twin, and you're separated at birth, and you go to Compton, you know, the stereotype of Compton. So you go to Compton, your biological, you know, same DNA goes to, I don't know, Iraq. Genetically, you're the same. Culturally, what you will be is two totally different people. What you consider breakfast is going to be different. Your language will be different. Even certain hand gestures may be offensive in one culture as and maybe not in a different culture. And so, cultural anthropology studies how people create under their environment a lifestyle, a tradition of living based on all these environmental outside things. And so that's what cultural anthropology is interested in. You know, Inuits have, I forgot, something like 1,000 words for different forms of ice, and then we have ice. They can imply so many. Just, you know, the Chinese language is so many small ways you can say things that affect how you know how the word is perceived, you know, or whatever. So, you know, language is part of cultural anthropology. Religion, all those things they're culture shaped by the environment.
So does that shape your rap lyrics?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it shapes my life, and I just studied how they shape me. So I look at myself and say, why do I respond this way? But as an LA boy, yeah, that's probably why I wear a Los Angeles hat and like the Lakers and the Dodgers. You know, that's part of the cultural anthropology. You know, I can, you know, I know the 7 sacraments, very Catholic. So that's cultural anthropology because of my culture, because of what the background of my mother and the influence that my mother's side had on my upbringing affected. Most blacks would tend to be Baptists in America. I'm not, don't relate. I relate to Catholicism. So in that way, me, Latinos, and Filipinos have that in common. And obviously Irish and Italians, you know, whatever. It's culture. So I deal with that and I talk about it and I question it. So why do I like the Lakers? Well, you know, why do I speak English as opposed to German? You know, all those things.
So I hear that you're a very observant individual.
When I want to be.
And when you do, and it translates through your lyrics, there's this end game of like, after you spit it, you still question it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's healthy.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And in that, of all the songs that you've produced, what song do you think really reflects where we are today in American society?
I don't, well, 2 things. I don't produce, I write.
Yes, sorry.
So producers would be considered the people that make the music. I'm kind of the person that, I'm the person that would write on top of the music. So I wouldn't say for me, but there's a song that I wrote as a kid, basically. It's a 8-minute history of, it's kind of written as a thesis paper. And it chronologically breaks down racism. It's called Nature the Threat. So I'm kind of known for this, you know, college professors, white, black, Asian, they still use it. High school teachers use it in their curriculums many times. Teachers have told me that. So Nature the Threat is, yeah, I wrote it. I was a kid, but I was a smart kid, obviously. It was on my first album. So I would advise anybody, that wasn't familiar with what I do when I'm being smart, then that's indicative. But there's many other songs, but that's the song that to this day, like, new people hear it and think it came out yesterday, and I think it's, whatever. It either pisses people off, or people are like, yo, you changed my life. You made me want to read more. You made me, question things that I was taught. But, that's what it's about.
Can we talk a little bit more about the nature of the threats in your life that you grew up experiencing, and how that inspired you to write that song?
I mean, I think it's in every society. I wrote it as a thesis, and theses always have to have an opinion. So I formed an opinion in that song, and then I had to back it up with these chronological, with this historical stuff. But you can take, with a thesis, you can, politicians do it all the time. You can take facts and twist them to suit your own agenda and what your thesis is. But for, I have the same ones most people have. We all want to be accepted. Wasn't born rich. We live in Western civilization. Wasn't born white. Wasn't born even in every culture. The people who tend to be the invaders tend to occupy places, and then they leave the mixed version of people, the ones that are a little lighter. So we have a color problem throughout the world. It goes in every culture. Latinos have it, Mexicans, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Japanese, Chinese. They have this whole thing. Some are too short. They look too ethnic. So those are things we all go through as a culture. But me specifically, yeah, of course, I'm a black kid in L.A., darker skinned kid in L.A. Why do police pull us over? Why do they make us get out of cars? They don't do that to my next door neighbor who happen to be white. You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah, of course you go through those. Those are social things that affect how you perceive the world. And of course they either, they make you resent, they make you angry, they break your spirit, let alone the other general things. People want to be loved. You want to find a pretty girl that loves you and wants to be with you. It could be worse if you're a really fat kid, or if you're not physically, all these things that can affect you as a person that will kind of work in your destiny, Yeah.
When did you write that?
I wrote Nature the Threat. I wrote Nature the Threat. 94, but my album didn't come out until 96. It was part of my demo.
So it's been like 21 years.
Yeah.
Since you've written it. 22 years.
Yeah.
I've
written other things since then, so
right.
I always write really smart records.
Is there, has anything changed since the Nature Threat?
I was always taught that no matter how fast you go in a circle, you still haven't really gotten anywhere. So society keeps repeating itself. History repeats itself because we haven't learned the basic, the basic lesson of respect, love, equality. And so society will continue to keep doing it. So people always get shitted on. Somebody's got to be the loser, especially in capitalism, any ism actually. So there's socialism, capitalism, communism, which is communing. So theoretically, it sounds pretty cool. Like, hey, we just share everything. The only problem with any governing system is that somebody has to run it, and they tend to abuse it. That's the problem with power, is that somebody has to implement the power. And you think of every revolt, and then it's for the people, but then the general takes over, and then he's an asshole because people are fucked up.
Right. So, I mean, it is what it is, right?
Yeah. So it's just that the unfortunate part is most people don't get power or seize it from the abuser, and then say, how can I make this as fair for everybody as possible? They get it and then say, fuck, this is what it feels like. I do not want to let this go. Fuck everybody else. I'll kill you. This shit is kind of cool. I call it the God complex.
Yeah. Which, I mean, off the record, I'm fairly religious myself. Not religious, spiritual.
Okay.
So I can really identify with what you just said about the God complex and how power corrupts. Mm-hmm. And so where does music come in play with this whole system?
I think it's, everybody has their means of expression, an outlet to, some people sing, some people draw, some people take pictures, and we all have these outlets to at least. I'm pretty sure even a garbage man, there's something that he does in his process that gives him an outlet or it makes some peace with the world that we have to deal in. So, music and comedy, those are things, painting, sculpting, those are things that you can really express yourself and no one's the wiser sometimes about what your intent, these things behind me, what this person's trying to say, and it's so subjective that, I may completely have the wrong idea about what this person's trying to express it. But I can still appreciate it. For me, yeah, my writing is a way for me to deal with the world that I was born, the time, the society, the circumstances, the skin that I'm in, the lack of love for the skin that I'm in, or the amount of love that I get for the skin I'm in, or whatever, they help me deal with it. That's my release. It's my my little peace of mind in the universe.
Got it. And that's also what you mentioned. I also hear duality in that too. Because you told me earlier that some people would hear your lyrics or hear your song and they would hate it or love it.
Yeah, totally. It still happens to this day. And people hear it for the first time. You can look on YouTube and literally there's a feed, somebody posted the record. I didn't post it because it's an older record. I don't live in my past. But to this day, if you look up Nature to Threaten, people just now heard it, and people they'll be going at it and like, I love what he said, you know what I'm saying? It's factual. I just graduated from, I'm a teacher now, and what he said changed my life. And then there's another dude like, fuck this guy, I hate him. He's preaching hate. I'm like, bro, whatever. So it creates a dialogue. I never said I had the answers. I'm no fucking Siddhartha. I'm no Buddha. I'm no fucking, great thinker of our times. I'm just giving my perception of the world I live in. I try to educate it as best I can, so it's not just complete nonsense. But I'm not here to fucking solve anybody's shit. I'm trying to solve me.
Right.
That's all I can do.
And that's your creative expression. Hold on, I'm going to pause real quick and kind of. So, can you talk to me a little bit about a situation in your life where you've been down that dark path and how you managed to utilize your creative expression to get out of that dark path?
I mean, I think everybody, it's a natural human state. I'll give you two. I don't know. First time I got a D in school because relative to my life at the time, I was going to get my ass whipped. So I really considered I should run away from home or kill myself. I'm going to get fucked up. And then you go deal with it, and then you come out the other side. That's when you whatever. I don't know how old I was. I probably was I was probably acting up. It was probably around 6th, 5th grade. Whatever. Anyway, so that's one, and you can smile about it. But the same thing happens when you go to prison, and you're like, fuck, I just ruined my life.
Yeah.
Like, damn, this is, now society is telling you that you should sit somewhere in a fucking hole for years. I mean, you're like, fuck, do I really, because some people don't have the constitution to do it. They will fucking die or kill themselves inside. Seeing that happen, not watching it, but people can't make it there. And it's designed to fucking make you crazy anyway. Fucking sensory deprivation and all that shit. But definitely designed to fucking heal you and make you a better member of society. It's to punish you, and you'll probably come out worse. They know that. They do it on purpose. So anyway, with that being said, of course, it's a very, rough time. I don't know. I'm a history, and then once again, so the whole dark light thing, they kind of been switched. Older holy stones who used to be the dark things and the evil things were the white ones, which is why ghosts boo tend to be the white scary thing. So I don't really ascribe to the dark time of my life because I look at the dark as it's the foundation. Dark is everything. Space is dark. It is all. I think that we got our linguistics twisted on purpose, so we perceive something lighter to be good and something darker to be bad. So I'm not gonna really ascribe to that shit because I know better. But rough times in my life have been, that was a time that, of course, and I couldn't blame anybody else. you know, when you can blame somebody else, it adds to you not dealing with the problem. And for me to be able to say, hey, this is my fault. It's kind of what I do. I deserve this. And then you're forced to, look in the mirror and figure out, do you want to change? Are you capable of change? Do you want better? And to this day, I always, I said it in a song with one of my friends.
What song?
Please Don't Let Me. It's a song with a friend of mine. He's a dope producer out of Detroit, Apollo Brown. So the song is called Please Don't Let Me. And I said, I got vices that I like. So there's some things about me I don't want to change. I totally like them. I said, I got vices that I like Remy on the Rocks, whatever. So there's some parts of me that are unpolished and crude and, fucking cavemanish that I fucking kind of make me who I am, and I enjoy them. And if you don't like them, beat it. And then there's other ones that are just extremely self-destructive, and those are the ones, you got to look in the mirror and say, hey, man, I don't like this part about myself, and I could do better with myself if I change that, and that's individual. Every person has to be willing to look in the mirror, the metaphorical mirror, and sometimes look in the mirror and say, hey, I'm fat as shit, or I didn't brush my teeth for a year. It's probably not a good idea. Whatever your issue is, I don't know. I'm just throwing shit out there. And then figure, so sometimes you got to look in the metaphorical mirror and the for real mirror and figure out what the hell is wrong with you. Because ain't nobody perfect anyway, so it's always going to be a job to better yourself.
How did you manage to better yourself?
I never said I was better. I never ascribed. I never quite said
better
that.
yourself, but separate.
I mean, this is my therapy. So my music and the ability to express myself. Sometimes some of your environment, some of the people you hang with are toxic. Some of your habits are toxic. I still have vices that I like. I smoke cigarettes. That may be an undoing one day. So I'm in my process. The one thing I can, knock on wood, is, I don't want to sit in somebody's prison and not do shit with my life. So at least that's a betterment. I always, that would be it. And I'm proactive, and I do something I love that gives me therapy, which is, being creative and writing. And, the studio's I truly enjoy, like, being in the studio, creating, music. Not necessarily does it have to be the most complicated or thought-provoking. Sometimes some party shit is cool too. And being able to, go out and perform it, man. Those are, like, I'm genuinely happy when I do those things. And shit, watching Star Wars, that was awesome. Simple shit in life.
The newest one, right?
Yeah,
It was good?
It was awesome. Yeah,
Dang, I still
awesome.
gotta watch it.
Yeah, it's super dope.
That's
really
awesome. Last but not least, can you tell me a little bit more about how you came about with the name Kass?
Okay, cool. I'll make a long story really short. I'm John the Fourth. My father before his father was John Austin. So what they say with especially American blacks is that, we have these names that we can't trace a descendancy, like a history past a certain amount of time, because it wasn't our names. These are names given to us by Europeans. Latinos have that same issue too, because the Spanish conquered, even, not so much in, a lot of Asian cultures. They ended up still being able to, keep their names, but a lot of other cultures, once, the Spanish came, the conquistadors, in South Africa with, the Belgium, they split these places up. So France was coming, taking parts, whatever. And so we call it, from a historical standpoint, just renaming yourself. Native Americans, you don't even, basically you don't get a name until you kind of become who you are. They're like, that's who you are. You're a little fart. You fart a lot, whatever. So some of us decided, I think that's part of what nicknames are anyway. It's kind of naming you based on who you are, without it being so thought out and fleshed out. But I think that's the concept of what nicknames are.
So when did your nickname come out?
Well, I named myself, and I couldn't figure out a good name for me. I was at Shakey's Pizza. My grandma was still alive, and whatever. It's Black History Month. It just happened to be. There was a guy named Kass, like Rastafari, Ja Rastafari, Rastafarian. So Ras means king. It was a guy named John IV, and all these pictures, it was a guy named Kass, and he was John IV, and that's all I remember was seeing John Ford. It's like, oh shit, I'm John IV. I was like, fuck it. And I'm not Rastafarian, and I'm from LA, Raz, so we got a twang to it. So I was like, fuck it, I'll be Kass. So John IV. So it's pretty simple. That was it.
So by renaming yourself, was there also a lot of energy that kind of built your persona to...
He was supposed to be the better me. The only problem is John IV already knew. John IV really fucking incriminated Kass. So meet the higher and lower self. So I named myself for my higher self, and then he still had to meet the regular me, and they're still trying to balance it out. Hopefully John doesn't win, because he's rebellious and fucking up. Raz is, like I said, he's supposed to be, enlightened and, trying to move in the right direction. John kind of likes to, drink fucking, Jameson and hang with his own boys and do bullshit. So whatever. But it's part of dealing with who I am. I love to read, and like I said, I was the kid with from a family of, father police officer that still ran the streets in Watts. So I'm both anyway, and it's just making peace with who I am and trying to balance that out. I think, too much of anything is weird. So I'm not here to be some angel or perfect spiritualistic guy. I'm just kind of, here for a short time. I hate to be ascetic. I'm not trying to deny myself sex, liquor, and all the Star Wars movies I can get. I don't give a shit. Keep it 100.
You're just who you are. Mm-hmm. All of it, the duality of you. You've managed to accept every part of you.
Yeah, once I get them all and all together. They're a little combustible right now, but it'll come together. It's a work in progress. Yeah, what's up, y'all? This is Kass, interviewing with the Love Story right here on location at Shambhala Studios. You know what it is. Stay tuned.